I am Crisalim Seriales from BSED English 2. My assigned topic is all about Eastern philosophy, including Hinduism, Buddhism, Confucianism, Taoism, Zen Buddhism, Christian philosophy, and Saracen philosophy. Next, we move to the definition of the Eastern philosophy. And what are the Eastern philosophies? Okay, let's tackle the Eastern philosophies. Eastern philosophies or Asian philosophy includes the various philosophies that originated in East and South Asia, including Chinese philosophy, Indian philosophy, Japanese philosophy, Korean philosophy, and Vietnamese philosophy. Eastern philosophy is a diverse body of approaches to life and philosophizing, particularly centered on understanding the process of the universe and the endless becoming. In Western culture, the term Eastern philosophy refers very broadly to the various philosophies of the East, namely Asia, including China, India, and Japan. And now here are the philosophical and religious traditions. First, Hinduism. Hinduism, as we know, is generally considered to be the oldest major world religion still practiced today, and first among Dharma faiths. It is characterized by a diverse array of belief systems, practices, and scriptures. It is the third largest religion, with most of them living in the Indian subcontinent. And we already know that Hinduism is the oldest religion in the world, and it is common in parts of India. Next, we will focus on the Hindu philosophy. It is traditionally seen through the prism of 6 different systems. So, the different systems of Hindu philosophy are Nyaya, Vaishashika, Samkhya, Yoga, Purvami Mamsa, and Vedanta. Nyaya. It was written by Gautama, also known as Akshapada, the founder of Buddhism, round about the 4th or 5th century BC. The most important contribution made by this school is its methodology. This is based on a system of logic that has subsequently been adopted by most of the other Indian schools, much in the same way that Western science, religion, and philosophy can be said to be largely based on Aristotelian logic. So the philosophy of the Nyaya school is they are referring to the methodology, which means it is based on the logic, and especially the Aristotelian logic. There are 4 sources of knowledge or pramanas of the Nyaya school: perception, inference, comparison, and testimony. The second system of Hindu philosophy is Vaishashika. Vaishashika was founded by the sage Kanada, postulates an atomic pluralism. In terms of the school of thought, the Vaishashika, all objects in the physical universe are reducible to a certain number of atoms. The Vaishashika school, accepting only perception and inference in the sources of the knowledge or pramanas. The third is Samkhya. Samkhya is the oldest of the orthodox philosophical systems in Hinduism, and it has 2 eternal realities. What are these? These are the Purushas or souls and the Prakriti or the matter or nature. The Purushas are many, conscious and devoid of all qualities. It is silent spectators of the Prakriti. The Prakriti, which is composed of 3 gunas or dispositions. So what are the 3 gunas of the Prakriti? These are Sattva, Rajas, and tamas. Or in English terms, these are steadiness, activity, and dullness. The fundamental distinction is between mind and body, and it is between the self or purusha and matter, and the latter incorporates what Westerners would normally refer to as mind. So we understand that Samkhya consists of two realities, which are the body and the mind. The Purusha is the mind, which it is the silent spectators of the Prakriti. The Prakriti is the body, which is a matter. It is stated here that the steadiness, activity, and dullness. Next, the fourth system of Hindu philosophy, which is yoga. The yoga system lays down elaborate prescriptions for gradually gaining physical and mental control and mastery over the personal self until one's consciousness has intensified sufficiently to allow awareness of one's real self, or as distinct from one's feelings, thoughts, and actions. So yoga is like the exercise of the person. The fifth system of Hindu philosophy is the Purvami Mamsa. The main objective of the Purva, or earlier, Mimamsa school was to establish the authority of the Vedas. The Mimamsa accepted the logical and philosophical teachings of the other schools, but felt that these paid insufficient attention to right action. So it means the Purvami Mamsa, which is the system of the Hindu philosophy, is accepting both logical and philosophical. Lastly, the system of Hindu philosophy is Vedanta. Vedanta concentrates on the philosophical teachings of the Upanishads rather than on the ritualistic injunctions of the Brahmanas. So Vedanta is using or practicing that their teachings is all about the philosophical. This led to a proliferation of Vedanta schools. Each of these interprets the text in its own way and has produced its own series of subcommentaries, all claiming to be faithful to the original. And here are the subcommentaries of Vedanta. First, the monism or Advaita Vedanta. This is probably the best known of all Vedanta schools. Advaita literally means not two. Thus, this is what we refer to as a monistic or non-dualistic system which emphasizes oneness. So, monism or Advaita Vedanta is natsu, which means it is only one. Second is qualified monism, Vishittadvaita Vedanta. Ramanuja was the foremost proponent of the concept of Srimanarayana as the supreme Brahman. He taught that ultimate reality had three aspects, which are Ishvara, Sit, and Asit. Vishnu is the only independent reality, while souls and matter are dependent on God for their existence. Because of this qualification of ultimate reality, Ramanuja system is known as qualified non-dualism. Next is the dualism or Dvaita Vedanta. Like Ramanuja or Madhva identified God with the Vishnu, but his view of reality was purely dualistic and is therefore called Dvaita or dualistic Vedanta. Next is Buddhism. Buddhism is a non-theistic religion, one whose tenets are not especially concerned with the existence of or non-existence of the God or gods. And it has four noble truths. And we know that we have encountered these topics when we were in previous years when we were in senior high school. The four noble truths of Buddhism, which are the Dukkha, Samudaya, Nirodha, and Marga. The ways of teaching of the Buddhist philosophy, it presents itself as way to attain, understand, and direct insight into the true nature of existence and not mere speculation nor a theoretical basis of a branch of knowledge. It focuses on questions of ontology, of existence, led to a reshaping of older teachings that had primarily concentrated on ethics and liberation. So we already know that the Buddhist philosophy or the ways of teaching, they are concentrating about the ontology. They are focusing or concentrating the questions of the ontology and their understanding about the nature of existence. And it is a non-theistic nature. Next is Confucianism. Confucianism developed around the teachings of Confucius and is based on a set of Chinese classic texts. Confucianism could be understood as a social ethic and humanism, focusing on human beings and our relationships. Confucianism emphasizes formal rituals in every aspect of life, from quasi-religious ceremonies to strict politeness and deference to one's elders, specifically to one's parents, and to the state in the form of the emperor. So Confucianism, in the term of Confucianism, meaning Confucius. Confucianism refers or based to the ethical and the humanism. Next is Taoism. Taoism is the traditional form of Confucianism. So Taoism, it is related to Confucianism. The core concepts of Taoism are traced far in Chinese history, incorporating elements of mysticism dating back to prehistoric times, linked also with the Book of Changes, a divinatory set of 64 geometrical figures describing states and evolutions of the world. Taoism emphasizes nature, individual freedom, refusal of social bounds, and was a doctrine professed by those who retreated in mountains. So Taoism, there is a lot or a little bit of relation to the Confucianism, because Confucianism, they are referring or focusing on the relationship and the politeness to the human being, while the Taoism, it is emphasizes the nature and the individual freedom. Zen Buddhism. Zen is a fusion of Mahayana Buddhism with Taoist principles. So Zen Buddhism, meaning there is a relation, it is connecting to Buddhism and Taoism. Zen Buddhism places emphasis on existing in the moment, right now. Zen teaches that the entire universe is one's mind, and if one cannot realize enlightenment in one's own mind now, one cannot ever achieve enlightenment. So what do you mean? The statement here, and if one cannot realize enlightenment in one's own mind now, one cannot ever achieve enlightenment. Like for example, if he didn't realize something about him, didn't realize something good to him, he cannot achieve what is it, and he cannot achieve his goal. Christian philosophy began around the 2nd century. It arose through the movement of the Christian community called patristics, which had as main objective the defense of the Christian faith. It is likely that patristics ended around the 8th century. The full understanding of the Christian philosophy, this movement requires an examination of the basis upon which its educational theory and practices rest its philosophy of education. Accordingly, there follows first a presentation of the basic beliefs of Christian education, and second, an application of these beliefs to the specific mission of the Christian school. So the purpose of Christian education is the directing of the process of human development toward God's objective for man godliness of character and action. Saracen philosophy. Scholasticism is a method of critical thought which dominated teaching by academics of medieval universities in Europe from about 1100 to 1700, and a program of employing that method in articulating and defending dogma in an increasingly pluralistic context. So the Saracen philosophy, it considered that it belongs to the Muslims. That would be all. Thank you.